On this episode of the CBD University podcast, we're launching our new podcast with Global Widget co-founder and co-CEO Kevin Collins. Education is key for consumers when shopping for CBD products, and we're here to keep you informed and educated about the latest in the CBD industry. You'll hear the story of how Global Widget was founded and has increased its workforce that now contains the in-house manufacturing and distribution teams that all other standards are measured against. Plus, learn more about our hemp-derived CBD products. We'll even have some product shots and how this ever-changing CBD industry, we are setting the standards as industry leaders. This is the premiere episode of the CBD University podcast, and it starts right now. I'm Joe Augustinelli, and welcome to Global Widget's new CBD University podcast. This indeed is the premiere episode, and as we set out to educate you, the consumer, about the CBD industry and how our brands of premium hemp-derived CBD products from Hemp Bombs, Nature Script, and Pure Pause Hemp are not only leading the industry, but shaping the standards in which all other brands are measured against. And on each episode, we'll discuss topics facing the industry, feature member of our teams, our business partners, and industry insiders to get you all the knowledge you need surrounding CBD. That's why we call this the CBD University podcast. And to start things off on episode 1, I welcome Global Widget co-founder and co-CEO Kevin Collins. Kevin, thanks for taking time out of your busy day to join me.
You got it. Thanks for having me, Joe.
So first, let's go back to 2016. Global Widget
Yep.
was founded. Just go back in time and take our listeners back to the founding of the company.
Let's take it back to about April of 2016. Me and my business partner, Donnie, got together, and we did some research on CBD. We noticed that there was a lack of businesses involved, a lack of understanding involved. So what we did is we tried the product. We both really enjoyed the product, and we looked at the industry in the whole, and we saw that there was a gap there. So, being the entrepreneurs that me and Donnie are, we said, hey, let's take a shot here. I was involved in real estate. He was actually involved in cars. He had a bunch of car dealerships. We got together and we decided this is our next endeavor. I sold off all my real estate portfolio. He sold off all his car portfolio, and that's where we begun. Come June, we came up with the name Hemp Bombs, and come July, we had our first product. It was funny because when we first started, me and Donnie kind of had a motto, right? And it was, Donnie makes it, and I sell it. And that's kind of how it blossomed from there. Started with one product, and as you know now, we have probably over 250 to 500 SKUs. So that's kind of a real quick how we kind of got started,
And what was the first product?
The first product was capsules. My partner Donnie has some experience getting products into convenience stores. This is probably 10 years ago. So he understood how to make a capsule-style product. So that was our first one. We made one product, capsules. I started getting on the phone, cold calling any and everybody. And when I mean any and everyone, if someone answered the phone on the other line, I was sending them samples, assuming they had an address. I didn't care who they were, where they were. And our goal was get product into anyone and everyone's hands, educate them what it is, and let's start selling product. And that's kind of how we started.
And from now, from then to where we are today.
I mean, there's a lot of in-betweens, right? But the way I kind of explain it is, it started with me and Donnie and one product. It sold, we hired someone. Sold more, we hired somebody else. Came up with another product, hired more people, sold more. And it just snowballed. And, you could really just fast forward to where we are now, 3 years later. I think we're sitting at 208 employees just to support these CBD brands. And now we probably have well over 250 SKUs. So things are going well, and, we got a plethora of products. Like I said, 208 employees, and that's kind of where we're at now.
And when we talk about the employees, it's important to note that all of that, just about in-house, correct?
Yeah, so, one of my strategies was keep everybody in-house, right? Because the CBD market moves extremely fast. It's an emerging market. It's not a mature market. And when I say moving fast, I don't mean every year, let's sit down and look what happened. Every month something changes, whether it's legality, whether it's compliance, whether it's the market, whether it's new brands, whether it's products. And quite frankly, now every state is actually taking their own stance. So there's 50 different rule books going on right now, and what we're doing is navigating through those and figuring out the best way to sell our product. And, we're going to be the industry leader, and that's what we're really focused on doing.
And on that note of all the regulations, in August, talking about adding staff, you added the first, and she'll be a guest on an upcoming episode, Margaret Richardson, but you added the first compliance officer.
Yeah, as you start moving down the different roads of business, you really start evolving. And what I mean by that is, we really went from a small business, we skipped the whole medium business, and we went right into large. And now what we're trying to do is move into an enterprise level business. We want to be the Red Bull of CBD. We want to be the 5-Hour Energy. We want to be the Coca-Cola of CBD. So what I've started doing, and really, my role over the last year has been really focused on hiring, whether it's a data scientist that we hired to help with numbers, a process and analytics director, chief compliance officer. We just hired a food scientist. I mean, I could go on and on about the different people that we've hired that are really good. And my big thing is when you hire these really good people, you got to let them work and really showcase their skill set. And it's fun to see. It's hard as the CEO because I'm doing less and less, right? Because I have all these great people that are doing things. But it's really something to see, and as we grow, you can just see the evolution of our business because of the people we've hired. And it's kind of cliche. Everybody says, you watch Shark Tanks and you watch all these shows. Everybody always says, oh, people, process, and product. Well, I can tell you wholeheartedly now I understand what they mean, right? And quite frankly, we have the product, right? And now we have the people. And a lot of what we're doing with all these 208 people that we have employed is putting all the processes in place. And, I'm not a process guy, and that's probably why our business lacks a lot of process. But I can tell you this, over the last year, man, our main focus is putting processes in place. And you can just see the fruition of that, right? And whether it's sales, whether it's compliance, whether it's marketing, having all these processes in place, it really pushes the business forward. And what it really does is allow you to strategize and plan and be prepared for what's next, right? Because like I mentioned, the CBD industry, it's emerging and it changes drastically. And me and Donnie have built this business prepared to what I like to say is pivot. You never know. I mean, one day a regulation might come out saying this, the next day it's coming out saying that. So we have built our business to be extremely fluid, and what I mean by that is we could shift, we could pivot. So right now we're really in the midst of waiting for the regulations.
Mm-hmm.
We really can't wait for the FDA to set some stringent guidelines, because with how far ahead our business is than all the other CBD companies out there, we're prepared for the regulations, and we know that's going to actually help us. Because no matter what the regulations are, if the regulations are ABC, we're prepared to do ABC. The regulations are DEF, we're prepared to do DEF. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, we're probably already doing ABC, DEF now. So I'm really excited about where our business is because we're prepared for anything, and we're going to set the industry standard.
And we talk about the workforce and the team members. And
Yep.
in addition to that, with 208 folks, you have to have room for everybody. And
Yeah.
and this year has seen the expansion of now more than almost just about 100,000 square feet of manufacturing and distribution space.
Yeah, so this actual podcast is in our main facility, okay, off of Sunset Street. It's about 50,000 square feet. This is where we got about close to 125, 150 employees. In here we have our sales and marketing team, our manufacturing team, our technology team. But I would say within the first 2 months of moving into this 50,000 square foot facility, we ran out of space. So what we did is we purchased another 47,000 square foot facility about a mile up the road. That way we could keep it close. That way the logistics are a lot easier. And we actually shifted our whole entire distribution and shipping team over there. That way we could keep all our finished goods there. And so we're in the midst of getting that building all set up. We already have team members move there. All our finished goods are there. And that building will be done in about 3 months. However, we did just invest into a lot of different types of vertical integration, which I could get into some more details later. But we also have a 10,000 square foot facility, which is actually only 0.9 miles away. Again, help with logistics. And that's where we're going to be doing all of our extraction. Mm-hmm. And, I could go into more depth about extraction later or whenever, you're ready for me to. But yeah, we're up to about 110,000 square feet in facility space and growing. And it's something to be said, and our facilities are impressive, and we actually created a whole entire campaign I want to say about 3 months ago, and we called the campaign Seeing is Believing, right? And I guess I'll get into some details on that, right? Because the main point of Seeing and Believing is you got to get to our facility to really see, to really believe what we're doing, because like I've said, the CBD market's an emerging market, right? And what's happened is when I got in this 2016, we went to a trade show. There was probably 3 to 5 CBD companies in that trade show. No big deal, just getting going. Well, let's fast forward. Last month we did a trade show and there was 300 CBD companies at the trade show. And remember, these are just companies at a trade show that cost a lot of money. You go online, there might be 100,000 companies. But when you go to these trade shows, when you see these companies online, they might look like $1 billion company. They might look like they got their own facility. They might look like they got 500 employees. When really there's 3 guys making CBD out of their garage. And don't get me wrong, right? Every entrepreneur has to start somewhere. And I'm not knocking them for trying. But quite frankly, CBD is almost turned into like a medicine. And you can't be buying your medicine from 2 guys that are making it in a garage. So the reason for the whole Seeing is Believing is unless you come to our facility, you don't know what's out there, right? Because you could come to my booth and I could tell you all these things just like everyone else is telling you these things. But when you come to our facility and you see in person the manufacturing of the gummies and you see our data analytics team working and you see our whole entire digital media team working because we do, like I said, everything in-house. So when we partner with a big distribution company, we do joint social media posts. We do marketing together. We have in-house everything, whether it's graphic designers, content writers, you name it. So we're able to offer the support that these distribution companies desperately need. Because, when you're buying CBD, the main thing you need to be concerned with is where are you buying it? How is it made? And what are the compliance stringencies behind that? And we offer those things. But like I said, unless you see it, it's hard to believe. So, we're really, really focused on trying to get people into our facility. And we're actually running some in-house seminars over the next couple months that should be very good because our goal is to educate, right? And I've been saying this for years. There's a lot of lack of education with CBD out there, but that's not the only problem. The biggest problem in my book is there is some education getting done, but who's giving that education? Because I've personally sat in some of these seminars at these different shows, and I can't believe some of the things that the people that are speaking at these shows are actually saying because they're not even educated. So what's happening is uneducated people are educating with uneducated material. Yeah. So it's really making things even worse. And one of the goals of this podcast is to get educated people that know CBD on here able to help others with knowledge, right? And because to me, education is the biggest gap with CBD, and that's what we're here trying to do.
And that's also part of the Seeing is Believing whole theme is having a forum with industry leaders. And we're talking one of the top attorneys in the industry. We're
Right.
talking our third-party lab.
Yep. And our seminars aren't going to be just our guys saying, "Oh, buy our products, buy our products." We're bringing in outside people. We're bringing in this chief scientist officer that works for arguably the biggest accredited lab in the whole entire country. We're bringing in some compliance officers. We're bringing in some legality people that have been in this industry since the beginning, that are at the forefront, that could really educate people and let them understand what CBD is, why they should be taking it, and where CBD is going, right? Because that's another thing. Where are we going? What's going to happen with CBD? And so those are some of the things that we're looking at.
And on that note of where are we going into 2020, what do you a year from now, what do you hope to be looking back on and saying, wow, we did this, and this, and I know there's some big initiatives underway when we talk about processes and technology and manufacturing and distribution heading down the road. Yeah. What are you hoping to look back a year from now?
So, I've owned a lot of my own businesses over the years. Nothing to this size, right? So I'm not going to BS you there. But one thing I will say is, we can't wait for the regulations, because once those come, there's going to be a lot of people weeded out. A lot of the market confusion will be gone, and then we will be able to put our best foot forward and really be that gold standard, right? And, one of the hardest things for me as the business owner is I'm used to planning. And generally, you plan 2, 3, 4, 5 years in advance. Well, this is CBD, man. You can't plan 5 years in advance. So one of the hardest things about this industry is you got to plan next month. You got to plan next year. But besides that, it's really hard to plan because the market shifts so much. You could work overtime creating this plan, but then next month something happens where your plan's obsolete. So it's difficult, right? But the fact that it's difficult is also what makes it fun, right? Because, everyone's jumping into CBD now and everyone's getting involved, but that doesn't mean you're going to be instantly successful. Just because the CBD realm is successful now doesn't mean when you just jump in it's going to be successful. There's a lot more to it. And one of the things I like to really reiterate is we have 208 employees to support our CBD brands. We don't have 10 people. And the crazy part about it is all 208 people are desperately needed. It doesn't matter if it's the customer service person, the social media person, everyone's needed. Because, think about like this, Joe. My mom, your mom, most of the listeners, they don't get to see the hard work that 208 people are putting in. All the strategy meetings, all the next level planning. But you know what they see? They see a social media post when a consumer calls and the customer service rep answers. That person is giving that customer the basis of what our business does. So that whatever that customer service rep says to that customer, that's what they think of our business. So it doesn't matter who you are within our company. You matter, and you matter big time. And I find it hard to believe that without having these 208 people, we could really be successful. So sometimes I wonder, how are these other companies doing it, right? Because we're still hiring. I think we have about 17 different ads out for different hires that we still need just to support our business. So, it's really important that everyone within our company, and I think they understand they're needed, they're important, because it doesn't matter what you're doing. It matters, right? And that's something I like to always tell people. And, even when I'm talking to other distributors, wholesalers, I let them know that, we have a support system. We've really built this business prepared to take on the biggest customers in the industry, because capacity-wise, no one could compete with us. Like I said, it's in-house. You walk to the back of our building, you're going to see 30,000 square foot of open manufacturing space with 100 workers and lab coats, and it's impressive, man. And with the industry being so new and emerging and things change so much, well, when the FDA says, oh, you need to do this and put this on your label, we could walk in the back of our building and we change it on the fly, right? We don't use co-packers, so we're not tied into anybody. We're not under anybody's spell. We make our own decisions and we make them fast, and that's how we've been so successful.
And we'll hear more about some of those compliance initiatives on our very next episode of our podcast, so you want to tune into that one also. And speaking of, we talked about vertical integrations too with 208 people. I want you to go back and touch on that a little bit.
You know, this is really my partner's realm, right? I'm the sales guy, the marketing guy.
Don't steal too much of his thunder, because he'll be on in a couple weeks.
I won't, and when he talks, he'll get into detail. But yeah, in terms of vertical integration, you know, what we're set to do here is handle the product from seed to sale, right? You know, in my opinion, the most important thing for a consumer, a distributor, a wholesaler is, where did you buy the product? How is the product produced? How is the product packaged? How is the product grown? How is it trimmed? How is it cropped? How is it seeded? Everything. So what we've done is we've partnered with farms, but we went the step ahead, right? We actually purchased all the extraction equipment, and I'm talking millions of dollars worth of equipment. So what we're going to be able to do is, now that we've partnered with farms, okay, we know where our hemp is getting grown. Right when that hemp gets grown, it comes to us, and we regulate every process from that until you get your product. So, you know, we're going to be creating our own CBD from scratch, and that's really important because compliance is going to be everything. Like I said, it's really turning into a medicine, right? And God, you need to know where it's coming from. You need to know who's making it, how they're packaging it, are they doing the right thing? So, you know, when you come to our facility, within our manufacturing facility, we have labs, and not just QC labs. We have lab testing equipment. We use third-party accredited labs, but we have that same equipment in our own facility. And no one told us to go buy that stuff. You know, we're trying to take extra measures, extra precautions to make sure our consumers get the best product possible. So we actually built a lab inside our manufacturing facility. Now, when we get raw materials sent to us, we test those raw materials. When our product is getting produced on our production line, we actually pull products off our production line and test it in our in-house manufacturing lab facility before we even send it out to that third-party lab facility. And we're the only ones in the industry doing it. And let me repeat, no one told us to do that, you know? And that's the coolest thing about this industry is it's all pioneering, it's all trailblazing, and it's all figuring it out. And like I said, we want to be the gold standard. We're going to be the gold standard. So in order to be that gold standard, you have to be the ones that are initiating and innovating all these different things in order to do that. And that's what we're doing, and that's what we're going to do.
And that's what we'll be showcasing, as we mentioned, to distributors and those who will be visiting our facilities over the next few months. And when we talk about, you can also see a lot of our efforts on the compliance side through videos on our social media networks. And just a reminder that all of our brands, Hemp Bombs, Nature Script, and Pure Paws Hemp, are all on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and you can go ahead and search for them on the native platforms, and also Global Widget at globalwidget.com. And so people probably want to know, I mean, do you sleep here? Do you get any time off? What do you do for fun? Family around here?
I would have to say for the first 3 years, I don't know if I did sleep, right? But I'm not going to lie. Now I'm sleeping a lot better because of the people, right? You know, some days I sit in my office and I don't have much to do because I have a list of 50 things to do, but I have 50 different people that are doing them. So half the time, if I try to go do something, I'm getting in somebody's way. And that's what I said earlier is, you know, it's so cliche to say people are so important, but it's really not. Once you understand it, and it's cool because you hire these really good people that have these skill sets, and they're doing great because they're better than me at that skill set. Now, I might have some great entrepreneur knowledge, but I'm not a social media expert. I'm not a compliance expert. I'm not a data scientist. And those are now the things that we need to take our business to the next level, right? And so I'm not going to lie. I am sleeping a little bit more now, Joe. Right? And I'm getting used to that,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm used to the chaos. I'm used to the startup feel of a business.
Yeah.
And I love that kind of stuff. And, now I'm just transitioning into my different role of, managing the good people that we have here and really just setting the upper level vision and making sure our business moves forward how I think it should move forward. But quite frankly, it is. I'm excited for the future. I don't see too many gaps that we have within our business. And one thing I've always believed in is if you work harder than the next guy, you're going to get farther than the next guy. And I think we've instilled that culture within our company that, we have fun here, right? It's probably the least corporate environment with 208 people that you could build. But if I can't tell you that people come to work and they come to work hard. Now, we want to have fun also. But I'm telling you, if you work harder than the next business, you're going to be better than the next business, and that's what I'd like to kind of finish on something like that.
And one last question, talking about the fun piece, the launch of the podcast. Here we are on episode 1, and for those who watch on our YouTube channel, you can see this is actually our in-house studio. But for those who may be listening on their favorite platform of choice. You got your own podcast studio, and why should listeners subscribe to our new podcast?
Right, yeah. I don't know how many listeners want to listen to me talk, but, the goal of this podcast, honestly, is education, right? And I mentioned this earlier is there's a huge lack of education in CBD, and not only that, some of the people that are doing the education, they're not knowledgeable. So it concerns me what people are listening to and getting educated on. So the main reason I wanted to build this podcast is to build up a following of people that are interested in CBD, that sell CBD, that want to know about CBD, but that could get up-to-date, real-time, knowledgeable education so that there isn't as much market confusion. So, over, our podcast, we're going to be bringing in, really good people, and not just people from our business. We're going to be bringing in outside people that could give their inputs on what's going on in the market and stuff like that. So, the point of the podcast is to educate, but educate the proper way, right? Let's give people what they need and the knowledge that they need, but the true knowledge, right? And that's really why we did this.
I look forward to hosting the podcast for many, many more episodes to come, and I'm sure we'll have you back again on another episode in the not so distant future. So I want to thank Kevin Collins, our co-CEO and co-founder, for joining me on our premiere episode of the CBD University podcast, and I thank you for listening. I do invite you to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform of choice. You can also see video of our podcast, as I alluded to, on our YouTube channel. And then, as I said, you can subscribe on your favorite platform of choice, get notifications each week when new episodes are published. And to catch up on any of our episodes as we build our library, you can always visit our website at www.globalwidget.com for all of our podcast episodes. And you can also take a look at some of the most recent news and events that have been going on from inside Global Widget. So once again, I thank Kevin Collins, our co-founder and co-CEO, for joining me on this episode of the CBD University podcast. And thank you for listening to this episode. And we look forward to you tuning in once again for a new fresh episode of the CBD University podcast from Global Widget, coming soon. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. CBD products are not intended to treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. Always consult your personal physician about CBD and using CBD products. CBD should never be used by anyone under the age of 18. This podcast is not intended to provide legal advice regarding the legal status of CBD and CBD products.